We her life.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, everyone. There's no one with us yet because it just began. They're going to start clamping, and they're coming. They're pouring in now.
When the world starts up again, the festivals will all start up again. And there's one in New Zealand that goes for like 2 weeks, and there's nowhere in New Zealand, so it's just Wellington and Auckland City. There's like 12 towns, and that one's really good fun. And New Zealand's food is almost as good as Australia's. That's where lamb is real intensive. If you like smoked salmon, Ben, and I'm guessing you do, the place across the street from where I stayed in Wellington City did lox and bagels in the morning, and I just would go over there and get crazy. I think the last meal I had in Auckland was lox and bagels over. They were trying to do a deli, but it was like their version of a deli, so it was kind of like a deli. But oh
my lady loves New Zealand on account of she's an enormous Lord of the Rings fan.
Right, that's the other thing. I think the way to do it is you go down, but don't work every day. Take a couple days off and go here or there. That way you can actually go see all the places where they shot it and stuff. Because I
always do.
New Zealand's like California. They have high mountains and small. You know what I mean? Like it's got the diversity of the terrain and everything. There's kind of a jungly part. Parts of it are really wet. None of the cities are that big. Like they have 500,000 people. You know what I mean? They're like Polynesian cities. They're the biggest cities in Polynesia, but they're smallish. So there's a cozy feel.
Do you do that, Greg? When you go on the road, do you like if it's a city I haven't seen much or I want to explore? I'll sometimes go a day early, or I'll stay a day late, and I'll fly out like Monday night late, even if my last show was Sunday, just so I can have some time to myself.
It's true because often you'll fly in and see sometimes on the same night, get up and do shows. I try to come in the day before for clubs, but with the guys on the road with the group, no, we get in a plane, fly to a place, get off the plane, go to the hotel, take a nap, get up, go to the theater, do a sound check, eat, do the show, get drunk, go to bed, get up, fly to another place.
So the real fun is after party.
I do like getting in the night before when you play a club because I only play clubs in towns that I like. So, you have a night to go by yourself, mind you, but, or if you have friends in that town, go see them.
But often aren't you then having to get up at 6 a.m. for radio? So you can't really
stay. That's the thing.
Out.
The problem is with any kind of good times is if you stay until 2 goofing around, you've got to get up at 5. And there's just no getting. The alarm clock's going to go off, and they're going to pick you up, and you're going to have to be on breakfast television looking like shit.
The only benefit, that's true, and there's no getting around that. They don't even usually provide you with makeup. They'll maybe, if you're lucky, they'll have a makeup pad for you. It's another thing that'll be gone with COVID is you can use this makeup if you like. But the only benefit is with our jobs, we can then come back from a couple hours of morning radio and TV and then sleep all day until our show.
Right, but it always makes me feel kind of crappy. And then getting back to sleep is always an issue because now you've had coffee. And
true.
You've had someone get you a latte at some point during the radio process, and you had no food and a latte, so you're jacked.
Yes, and that's the problem too. It's not that I can't stay awake or be good on radio without the coffee. It's because the club person that picks you up usually says, "Would you like anything from Starbucks?" And I can't say no. I get a free latte, I'm in.
Absolutely. That happens every week, man. They always say that. If they're really nice, they go, "Look, I'm stopping at Starbucks. Do you want something?" You're like, "Yeah, I'll have a latte."
100%.
And then you drink an entire Starbucks latte, which is
what's your exact order? How do you put it in?
Just a straight latte, and then I'll put a sugar in, and then I'll get one of their crappy croissants usually.
Interesting. I usually go medium vanilla latte with oat milk and only 1 pump of vanilla. They'll put 4 in there or 6.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say you start going down the vanilla thing, they get crazy with the syrup.
But if I just go 1 pump and you go oat milk, it's fantastic because oat milk it's frothy and it's healthy. You're not doing no lactose for no reason.
Right. Now my afternoon one is the iced one. We've both probably been to more Starbucks than you even want to admit in your life because the road is just Subway sandwiches and Starbucks, and there's kind of places that pop up. Like there are places in America where there is literally nothing else.
Oh yeah.
I remember Mike Krupke, the baseball announcer, saying, "You can make fun of Starbucks all you like." He goes, "But when you're in certain towns in the United States, it's like cafe society. You're like, oh God, a Starbucks. You know, there's a New York Times. You know."
Yes, I get excited on the road if I see a Jimmy John's. It's just a different kind of sandwich, and they make a great fresh soft bread. It's
Number 5. The guy who runs it's a Nazi, but yes, they do.
Is he?
Yeah. Everybody who runs fast food places is a Nazi.
There's one
in Chicago on Division or somewhere around there that I would always they put you at this hotel when you played the Zanies in those days, and you finish the show, you've had a couple drinks, maybe you smoked a bone, and there's this Jimmy John's. So number 5, barbecue chips.
Yum.
There's also a cheesesteak place in Chicago on Division, and I remember you finish the show, and I'm in like my overcoat and my suit because it's Chicago, they have weather, and I would be the only person in there with like gangsters. They're like clearly dudes who've just come from shooting someone or whatever, and it's late, they want a cheesesteak, and no one ever bothered me. I guess the suit really just. Why are you wearing a suit at 2:30 in the morning in a cheesesteak place?
That reminds me of one of the low moments of my campaign for president. Was I was in Chicago. I was playing Zanies, and I played very few gigs that year because I was just focused on the campaign. But if I had gigs that were booked, I would turn them into campaign events throughout the whole city as well, and do my shows. And so I would hold these like breakfast with Ben events where I would buy you breakfast, you come out, and some of them would be very well attended. Some would be medium. This one in Chicago, we reserved a place. My campaign manager found a place that would let me reserve a few tables. And I went in, there were signs on the window outside. 0 people showed up. 0. Uh-huh. And I had my bag with me with all my campaign gear, and I leave the restaurant, and I'm just strolling. It starts to rain. I'm walking by the club, and I'm in the rain in a suit, leaving a 0-person attended campaign event. And I felt like things weren't going great at that point for the campaign. And it was not long before then we had to hang it up,
Oh, wow. 0 people is such a bummer.
Yeah, it is. Luckily, that was the only event.
Especially when you're trying to run a campaign and whatnot. I remember doing a gig with an improv group that I was in a long time ago. And we took a gig in the Gold Country at this little hotel, and there was a cabaret across the street. And I don't even think they gave us rooms. I think we accepted that we were sharing someone else's thing that lived there. It was really bad. Now, of course, now I would never do that, but I was 24 or whatever and stupid. And one night at the show, there was, I think, 2 people. That might have been the smallest. I think we did it anyway. And then we all went across the street.
I did it anyway. Oh, you went afterwards and party with them?
Well, there was a barn dance or something across the street, and of course, everyone in town was there. We'd managed to book a show across from the one event in the smallest town in the world. It was called McCollum Hill. And the nearest town that was big was Sutter's Creek, I think, or Sonora. When I say big, I mean like 20,000 people. This is the Gold Country, so the towns are,
Yeah.
There was 2 bars, 1 bar, and and we managed to pick a night where walk into the other venue across the street, fucking 500 people. Everybody dancing. Oh, and I'll give you an idea what year it was. There was a cover band, and they were called Bandit or something like that. I'm not kidding, Bandit. And they played Jump by Van Halen, so it was that year.
Okay.
1984, somewhere in there.
The 1884s.
Yeah. Scott Joplin was. Stephen Foster was at the bar doing a gig. He sang down. I said, "What do you think of this?" We're like, catchy. I was in Boston years ago, and there was a terrible club there called the Connection. Was it? It was upstairs in Faneuil Hall, right? So
Comedy Connection.
Yeah, they remember it. It was Boston, and in Faneuil Hall, right, that area, really central area of Boston. You could watch from your balcony at the hotel sailors get in fights all night long. Like it was the scene there was just drunk sailors, right? So
they all had seasickness, so they just kept missing each other and they were swinging. They're like,
Oh yeah, it'd be hilarious. You know, I'm standing out in the balcony smoking a joint, and you're just watching them run into each other, and like it's like Clash of the Gladiators. Everybody's in a uniform and they're shit faced, and so there was a mixed crowd. Like they never made any effort to get anyone intelligent. Mind you, across the river this way, Harvard. Across the river that way, Cambridge. Across the river right there, MIT. So they were in the middle of possibly the biggest pool of geniuses that was matriculating anywhere in the United States. So they'd get the guys wearing the socks hats who thought you were gay because you were from San Francisco. And that was the kind of crowd they got. So one night, Keenan did a show early, and they moved my shows back. So one show's at 9, and then, yeah, he wanted to do a set. So he did like a 7 o'clock. And of course, he sold his out. Then I did like a 9 o'clock, was pretty good. And then the other show was late. But now it's too late. You know, they moved it to, it was 11:45 or something. So no one comes, right? You know, 8, 10. And I go to the manager and I'm like, are we really doing this? And he goes, yeah, we are. And I'm like, are you that desperate for the 8 admissions or whatever? Like you already filled the place twice tonight.
And he goes, yeah, we are.
Yeah. And he goes, yeah. So I get up and I'm like, well, I'm not doing any material. So I talked to them for an hour and, you know, I did my thing. They were happy. They left. Then the owner comes in and he goes, we really got to work on getting a more intelligent crowd in here for you. And I go, right there's Yale. I mean, Harvard, Cambridge, you know. And then the manager comes in and he's shit-faced. From the time I went on, he must have really started drinking in earnest. Because he came into the dressing room and he was like, yeah. And I said, hey, can I talk to you for a minute, Rick? And I took him out of the room and I'm like, you really shouldn't do that in front of the owner right now. You need to like go away to another room so that he doesn't see how he's left you in charge.
Oh,
you're supposed to be cashing out. And yeah, he came in like, yeah, you know. So
that scene that he was selling out early.
But I mean, they made me do a show for whatever, and I thought, surely this is the one you just go, all right, give everybody their money back. Let's have a drink.
Although one of my favorite shows of my career was literally with 2 people. It was a Mother's Day in Atlanta, the Laughing Skull, and no one showed. There were no tickets sold, and Marshall wanted to cancel. And I said, if anybody shows up, though, I want to do it because it's Mother's Day, especially if they're a mother. They came out. I don't want to disappoint them. And a couple came out, and they were married, and they had a kid. And I'm like, we have to do a show. Or I think she was pregnant, actually. And so we did a show, and I'm an ordained minister. So I remarried them on stage, and we had this beautiful connected show, and they came back for years to come and were just a big part of my whole Atlanta vibe. They would always come back. It was pretty fun. Really cool. It was fun.
I love the Skull, and I've known Marsh for 100 years, and I used to play his old club before that was in the mall. Did you ever go to that one?
Yeah, funny. It was the Funny Farm.
Star? Yeah, the Funny Farm, and it was in the Star Mall.
Starlight Mall or something.
Yeah. At the dressing room there was hilarious. Like it was like you were in an 1890s like burlesque kind of vaudeville place.
Yeah, and it was down the hall, right? It wasn't even in the main room, I think. And I remember at that gig between my 2 shows, my early and my late show one night, I was going through some problems with my girlfriend at the time, like a lot of problems. We were fighting all the time based on nothing. And I played a round of miniature golf by myself between shows. And as I finished the 18th hole and I sunk the last putt that goes up there and disappears, and it went right into the middle. And over the blaring loudspeakers of the miniature golf was Simply Red's "If You Don't Know Me By Now, You Will Never, Never Know Me." And I literally connected so much, and I was like, this relationship has to end. She doesn't know me by now.
Right. And it took the sadness of playing miniature golf by yourself between shows at the Starlight Entertainment Center in Atlanta, which had everything. It had like video games and the miniature golf course, and I think tag too, laser tag or something.
Yeah, they had all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was the least conducive atmosphere to comedy.
And there were columns
the showroom
all over the showroom. There was like at least 3 columns that kind of made it also obstructed views and not ideal. However, this Saturday night, we have no obstructed views. Every seat is a front row ticket.
Yeah.
Greg and Glebe, It's a G Thing, our improvised show. We play improv games, Whose Line style. We interact with the crowd. We take questions. It's an absolute blast. There are VIP tickets available for a meet and greet after the show. And you can get discount tickets to any of those ticket tiers with the URL on your screen right now, tinyurl.com/livefeb6. It's this Saturday, February 6th. And it's a real fun show. We've been doing this now for like 6-7 months, Greg. We've done it like it's like our 8th one or something, I feel like.
I was going to say, didn't we start doing it in April?
I think, no, our first solo headlines at Nowhere was May. I think 2 weeks later we did do it, and I think it was May. So
okay. Well, the last year, right?
8 months.
We're all on incarceration time now.
Yes,
I have to look at the wall and see how many scratches are on it to know what day we're on.
That's right.
I posted something today and I said, you and I are doing a show on Saturday. And I wrote in parentheses next to it, it's Thursday today.
I saw that. You said, yeah, I saw that. And for me, it's the same way. I count time by marks on my wall now too. I have to just make sure I don't confuse them with the notches in my bedpost, both of which are at 1 or 2. They're like kind of lingering.
Right? The one notch just glaring at you defiantly.
Right. That's right. Forever.
Is it hot out? Right? Yeah, it's just Ben and Greg.
That's right. Damn straight.
No one's ever seen me in a cardigan before, evidently, because apparently I'm hotting people up with my.
Yeah, it's incredible what you're doing over there.
Office hours are posted professor look that I got going on here.
Mm-hmm. I digs that. Right? It looks real good. Do you think you might wear a cardigan on Saturday?
Oh, no. You know why? Because if you've ever performed in a sweater, it's horrible. They're so hot.
They're very hot.
Yeah. Suit is hot enough, but I bought that Elvis jacket, and it's made of completely flammable polyester. So I sweat like a country star on coke in the 70s.
Yeah, it's a smart move when you're known as a performer who does a lot of drugs. Not you, Elvis. Don't wear flammable stuff.
Right? And if you see him in the later movies when he's in the white cape and everything, and he's got a little weight, he is huffing and puffing out there, man. It's, and then, that became a shtick because he had to wipe off so much that
that's hilarious.
He started handing out the towels. There was a comic, there is a comic, but I did time with in San Francisco named Bob Rubin, and he always did these hilariously conceptual jokes. And I was a middle act, and he was a headliner. And he would do Elvis as a canned ham, and so he would play the live track of Elvis singing CC Rider, and he would come from the back of the house with this ham, and he would put it in people's faces, right? And it was just a giant canned ham. And then he'd put it on a chair, and then he'd wipe off the ham with a towel and throw it into the audience. He at no point saying anything. And then, CC Rider, go on and see what you have done. And the place would go bananas. It was just the stupidest. So
I played Elvis once.
In a movie?
No, not in a movie. I wish. It was for my old National Lampoon talk show, The Glebe Show, and we did a sketch that was, remember when the Elvis Ones, his #1 hits album came out and it was huge?
Yeah.
And then there was another, which was Elvis 2s. It was his #2 hits. And so our premise was, from the people who brought you Elvis 1s and Elvis 2s, it's Elvis 11s. It's like having 2 #1 hits back to back with the songs that never even cracked the top 10. And then it was just a list of all the songs that are like tweaks on Elvis favorites. It was like 1 for the pills, 2 for the pills, 3 for the pills. Now go pills, go pills. Or my favorite was, you don't have to order pizza just because I do. It was just all about Elvis losing it.
Believe me. Yeah. That's so funny.
Then there was a confessional at the end where then I appear as Elvis and I go, hello, I'm Elvis Presley. Now that I'm dead, I recommend this album very strongly just to bring residuals to my family and my heirs. You got that Elvis Presley dead seal of approval. It's so dumb. It's so much fun. I looked a little bit more like this then, I think. Nope, it's not working. Okay, good. And I could fix that.
It's not tech day here at the ranch. It really isn't.
Nope, here it is.
I finally got my pods to work. Oh, there.
There it is.
Oh, young Elvis.
Nice to be here with you, Gregory Proops. I'm a big fan of your early stuff on Who's Line.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. I love this filter. If you ever want to look like Elvis, this does the trick.
That's really wild. Yeah.
But you can't talk like this when you do it. You have to kind of talk like this.
Yeah, and a lot more mouth action.
Let me tell you something, Greg Proops. If there's nobody I'd rather be in a situation and a scenario and a relationship with. Just give me a relationship, a scenario, and a random object, and I'll improvise with you all day.
Well, thank you,
Absolutely.
Elvis.
Absolutely. Any questions for
It
me,
says, Ben,
Greg?
yeah, when you were making GI Blues, did you and Juliet Prowse have a thing?
Oh, let me tell you something. I don't really remember all the many people I've taken to bed, but I do know that I made a movie, and I don't remember the name of most of those either because a lot of those were junket stuff I just kind of did for paychecks at the end, but it sounds familiar.
Thank you. That's
You're
exactly
welcome.
the answer. Yeah. My sister used to take me when I was little, her gig, because she was 7 years older than me, right? So you have to take your little brother to the movies every weekend. So my mother would give us like $1 each or whatever in those days. And then she dragged me to the movies. And it was always like State Fair or whatever by Elvis Presley. You know, it was in the 60s, he was just cranking out like travelogue movies, basically. They were always in Hawaii or some bullshit.
Yeah.
You know,
Elvis goes to Hawaii for the buffets mostly.
And so without remembering the details of any of them, I probably saw half of them as a kid in the theater. Then you'd see it on TV and I'd be like, why is this familiar to me? I've never seen this. And then you're like, oh, wait a minute. I saw this one. This is the other race car one.
Yeah, that's right. That's
Because
why
there's a bunch of race car ones.
That's why I stopped smoking weed to watch movies many, many moons ago. Unless I'm watching to study acting, I can't remember even if I've seen them. I one time booked a pilot for a movie debate show on Reels channel, and they gave us a list of movies to watch, and Goodfellas was one of them. I remember preparing for the pilot, and 3 hours into Goodfellas, I was like, okay, yeah, I've definitely seen this.
After the 5th stabbing.
Yes, that's right.
You're like, wait a minute. Oh, no, I did that to Jennifer we were watching something the other night, and I'm like, wait a minute. And she's like, we watched this last night. I went
back-to-back night. That is huge.
Right? I didn't pick it up till like act 3. You know, like finally I'm like, wait a minute. I saw that dog in the thing. She's like, we saw this. We're just catching up on it because you didn't remember it. I'm like, oh. That's so hilarious. I get what you're saying. And that's now hilarious. I'm having trouble in the containment with selective things. Like I was trying to remember Gilbert and Sullivan before, and I couldn't remember it. It popped into my head later when I was talking about Wellington. The awesome other thing in St. Paul's Cathedral is Gilbert and Sullivan are next to each other, buried.
Wow, that's cool.
They detested one another in real life. They collaborated via messenger. And
that's
the lyrics were sent over. Yeah, the lyrics were sent over, and the music was written, and that's how that happened. And it was like they weren't particularly fond of one another, but they're buried together, which is not together, but you know, next to each other. But isn't it though? Like
tunnel between the coffins, like they can hold hands,
right? Right, a little they can. But when you don't think like Lewis and Clark are going to be buried next to each other. You know, you get to London and you stand there and you're like, wait a minute, they actually put Gilbert and Sullivan. Like we wanted you to know.
It reminds me, there's somebody who wanted to be buried and is buried right next to Marilyn Monroe, but I can't remember who it is. It was her first husband. And there's this tiny little cemetery in Westwood that's behind office buildings. Yeah. It's tiny. It's like the size of my home, and it has all of these like huge legends buried there. And Marilyn Monroe, I think I can't remember. One of her ex-husbands wanted to be buried next to her and paid for the plot next to her, even though they weren't together in the whole rest of their lives. It was so odd.
Right. Yeah, and, that is. That's
they're buried in the same coffin in 69 position. It's not ideal. I don't know why.
At Hollywood Forever, there's a mausoleum, and well, you know that where they show the movies.
Oh yeah, great place.
I used to go there at the very beginning of that, and then
you speak of the dead in Hollywood, and you freeze up. It's like almost as though the ghost of Hollywood past is. Greg, you're frozen. You're frozen, Greg. Now you're unfrozen. No, you're not. Now you're frozen again.
People there. Now you can stay. He wrote Straight Time. There's a famous jazz music. Oh, there we go.
There you are.
Anyway, it's exciting to see. Are you a little angel now? Is that what that is?
Dog angel, sure.
I can't.
Hot dog based angel. Greg, I think we're freezing. I don't know if me freezing. Am I freezing or is Greg freezing or are both of us freezing? Please let us know in the comments. Please let us know in the comments if possible. Okay, well, anyway, if you can still hear me, get tickets to this Saturday where the tech is much better. Greg's frozen. So I'm still with you guys. Get tickets for this Saturday. Get them right now if you can. tinyurl.com/live-feb6 for discounted tickets, even for the VIP level, where you can hang with me and Greg in an intimate setting, ask us any questions you'd like. And the show itself, it's a G thing with Greg and Glebe. It's improv games, it's audience questions, interactions. It's funny, weird improv, whose line is anyway type stuff. It is so much fun. It is an absolute blast. And so I hope you can join us this Saturday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 Eastern, early enough. You can still do things afterwards. It's pretty damn exciting. Tell your friends, bring a friend, get your tickets now if you can. Greg's rejoining us. Greg, you're back. I was signing off, but do you want to say good night or any last messages or good day or anything to anybody here?
Yeah, I'm trying to keep my spirits up during this, and I think doing the comedy show really helps. And I think it's a great, if anything else, and I would never sell a show this short because I think it's funny as the Dickens, but just to have an hour and a half, 2 hours where you're not in the world for a minute during this is so much fun, and we really get goofy in the show. So it's
super fun. It's a real goofy shit show of a fun time. And
do we have openers?
Oh, that's a good question. I believe we're being hosted by Leah Lamar. Can you hear me?
No, now I can.
I believe Leah Lamar is hosting. Do you want to book?
Perfect.
An opener for us, though? Can you find an opener for us? Sure. Yeah. If you would be so kind as to find
I'll get Jill or Joy. I'll get one of my buddies to do it. I'm trying to, you work with Leah a lot. I'm always trying to work with, I got 3 or 4 women that I've been working with. I just started working with 2 of them, and Daya I've worked with for years. And I like to try to include them in everything because, we were all trying to support each other during this and keep everybody afloat.
Yeah, big time.
And also, just a chance to do a set now is fun. So yeah, I'll get on them for Saturday, and then Daya I've got doing my show on the 18th, my stand-up show.
Oh, wonderful. So Greg is doing a solo stand-up show on the 18th of February. You can also get tickets for that at nowheretime.com or gregproops.com. I'm doing my first solo headline stand-up since May. I haven't done one since May, Greg.
Have you not? What do you just do, the crowd work?
Yeah, I do my crowd work show and filters and improvise, and I have guests join me. But my first actual doing material is February 26th. So you can get tickets to that as well, a week after Greg.
Do you have any material?
I have. Yeah, I've been writing, and I've been doing surprise guest spots on different Nowhere shows to develop it. So I'm going to be coming out with the hour I will bring on the road when life returns. And it's going to be at least, I think, 30 minutes of brand new stuff, at least 30.
Oh, well, good. Awesome.
It should be pretty fun. And also one last question I'm going to hear from Angela. Ben, what's that Funko Pop in the background? Let me tell you. I used to hate Funko Pops because I thought they were just such bad impersonations of somebody. They're not as good as bobbleheads until a fan of mine, Brian Slivka, made one of me. And I thought that was pretty damn awesome. And with the Glebe 2020 mug and everything. And so I became a fan of it since then because it played to my egos. Were very well played by Slivka. So that's exciting. And thank you, Andrea, for purchasing the ticket. You said you're going to purchase one. Now you just said, I already have that ticket. So boom. Very exciting. Oh, you already have the ticket for my stand-up show, I think you mean, or maybe Greg's perhaps. Anyway, Greg is frozen again. He's in the room that has less good internet, but his main showroom is fantastic. Predator Johnny says, brilliant show always, the G thing, amazing energy, chemistry. It hurts to laugh so hard. And I think that is as good a note as any to leave you on. Please get your ticket right now at tinyurl.com/livefeb6. You get a discount. You can join us for the VIP after if you'd like as well. Love that. Thank you, Andrea. Love that. Thank you, Drifty. And thank you guys. And and the G thing you got as well. Thank you, Drifty. And my podcast, if you'd like to check it out, I just released yesterday with Sophia Bush, her return after 10 years to my podcast. She was on twice, season 1, And now 10 years later, returns to see us to catch up on what's happened in the world since last week on Earth. You can subscribe right now wherever you get your podcasts. And that is that. I hope you guys join us. Hope you get your tickets right now. If you already have one, please tell a friend, bring a friend with you. It will be quite the time. I think you'll enjoy it. And until next time, I bid you adieu. Did I say I bid you adieu or adieu?